Hello, everyone, and welcome to Qdabra's webinar today. I'm glad to have you here. This is Patrick, and we have Don, who's done all the work. I'm just here to introduce his awesome work to you and show you this new technique that we've come up with. We continue to only be interested in doing new things for you. We're not recycling webinars, but we do have them all posted on YouTube. You can always go back to the previous ones. We'll do the same with this one. Dashboards. Today we're talking about dashboards, and we have a couple quick questions for you before we get started. First of all, are you using a dashboard form? No, I'm not. I'm using Sharepoint, which is fine. We're going to talk about the benefits of using a dashboard form next. And then we have, obviously, some of you who have used dashboard forms that we've shown in the past. That's great. Looks like most of you are saying yes with filtering or filtering and sorting. And thank you very much for that. We have actually, now we have more people voting. We have one saying no. We have one saying yes, one saying yes with filtering, and three of you saying yes, we have it all. But we're going to show you even more today. In fact, for those of you who have the filtering and sorting, the technique today is actually a new technique that makes the filtering and sorting even more discoverable. But first, one more question for you. Why are dashboards more useful, perhaps, than SharePoint views? Well, SharePoint views are out of the box, so they're useful in the sense that you don't have to do anything. You get them for free. But with a dashboard form, we typically create them to give you more custom styling or formatting. This is multiple choice. We sometimes do them to improve performance. SharePoint has limitations around items that you can query, so we move your data to SQL. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, too. Sometimes you want to restrict access to certain data, and it's hard to do that with SharePoint permissions. You can create workflows that automatically change permissions. Okay, so it looks like we've got everyone saying custom styling and formatting, and a couple people, I guess, saying the other ones with no others. So that's a quick recap on the poll. Okay, so without any further ado, today we are showing a new technique, like I said, to give you more discoverable filters and sorting. And this is something really cool that we came up with. I want to say, Don, it was like last August. Do you remember exactly when? Was it Joanne that had this technique originally? I forget. I think it was Joanne, right? It was like August. We had this. She came up with this cool CSS technique, right? Was it Joanne?
I'm not sure if it was Joanne, but she did it for Prestonwood.
Yeah. Great. So, and I don't think we have Preston on the call this morning. But I'm just checking to see who we have. We don't. But if Preston was watching this afterwards, thank you very much for that inspiration. So why do we care? Well, once again, like I said in the poll, better performance, better usability, extensive filtering and sorting, because you need to find your data, right? So we're going to show you how to do this. In fact, before we do that, let's just quickly show you what we're talking about today. So here is a sample dashboard, and check it out. I'm like, well, how can I filter this thing? Normally, when we do filtering or sorting, we'll have like something on the top here. Misty, you're on the call. I just saw that you joined. Thank you for being here. I'm thinking about you because I know that your central flow dashboard has these finds on the top, and also you can type in something. You can also like have different tabs that give you different views on the data. But let's say you want to make it a cleaner UI, which is what you see here. How do you add filtering and sorting? And you can see as I hover over, boom, it just pops right up. Isn't that cool? I don't know if we need a scroll bar. That's actually something we probably don't need, given that everything is being displayed there. But if you add more items, like you can say, I want to find something from Patrick and Don. Actually, maybe there's a bug there. You can see it's adding that additional item there. And if I click find, it's going to filter down to just show those two items. So we've got this kind of, and this is this composite filtering, which is our second demo for today, but we're showing it first to give you a sense of everything. Sorting and descending, ascending and descending for sort is a feature you can keep adding to this filter here. As you can see, Don's done this amazing job of creating this. And then I can clear it if I want, or I can actually go to another filter like this one here, and I can say I only want to see something that's greater than like $500. And isn't this cool? This is really cool. Let's actually make it 100. And you can see that it's just really awesome. what Dawn has done today. And this is more discoverable. I don't like the scroll bar there, Dawn, next to it when it's not needed, but maybe that's hard to remove. But anyway, you can see here, this is a really cool thing that makes it easy to discover. And that's what we're talking about today. And Dawn's going to show you how to add this. But quickly, and we'll come back to this slide. So Dawn, before we jump to your screen, Misty is saying she loves it. Thank you, Misty, for that wonderful comment. we're kind of partially caffeinated today, speaking for myself. And so it's great to have the energy. Thank you very much. Seattle, it's still a bit early here. We have our caffeine though. Dawn, I'm going to switch to you and actually make you the presenter so you can show them how to add this technique.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. So let me open up the form first. Okay, so first thing I'd like to show is a starter form here. So this is what we have. I'll refresh it. So there's nothing here at the moment. As you can see, if I hover over the headers, there's nothing there. And I'll show you how to add it. So first, we need to add the XDP to your form. So assuming that you already have it, just place your cursor underneath and go to your custom controls and add the hover over section XDP here. So at the columns here, we're going to select which columns we're going to add this to, or you can add it to all of the columns. So to do that, we need first to trigger the load resource to load these JS and CSS files. So let's first proceed to the Qdabra rules finish loading node and add this rule over here and set it to command and the next one as well. Okay, and then rename this to a meaningful name. Next is we just need to copy this and put it here, and we can just remove that and rename the header title. This is actually a button, so I'll just rename that and just leave that as is. Okay. Now if we upload this, you can see that where's that? Okay. Oh, that's the wrong template. Let's start here. Select this one. Update. Open form. And we should now have a hoverable section here for this one. So what we need to do next is add a filter. So underneath, I'll just add a node over here. So let's say name, and then add it as a drop-down list. Get data from an external data source. So for this one, since we're using a regular Sharepoint data connection, the problem we have is that we're limited to specific queries. We can't do contains or range type of query for regular Sharepoint data connections. So I'll add a rule here to set the query node of the name to the name node that we created over there. And then we're going to query the expense support library. And I'll just save this and upload. Okay, so now that we have that, you can just filter the data here, and there you go. It's as easy as that. But the problem with the regular SharePoint data connections is you can't perform complex queries like with and or operations. So that's the limitation for this.
This the first technique that you're showing is really the how to add the cool CSS that gives you the hover over, and this gives you a sorting and it's simple filtering, right? So you can actually, if you were to go in there right now on the demo and actually type in something, you could sort it. I guess you just did that. Yeah, you got the drop down.
For sorting, there's no configuration yet because this is going to depend on the type of data connection you're using.
Whether it's a number or text.
Uh, the for the XPath and
I see
the type of data
so
connection.
specific to the column.
Yeah.
Is it easy to show how to configure that real quick?
Oh yeah, sure. So we could add a set. Let's just grab first node that we want to sort. Okay, so let's add a centralized project here for sorting. So sort, and we want to set this sort node to the value ASC for ascending, and DSC for descending. DSC ascending, and add a role here. I'm going to set to sort table, and this is the command, and row of, and compare. Order by order equals. So we're going to concatenate that and use this node that we're using. And also we have to declare the name of the data connection. One sec, I need to get the parameter for that. Okay, so the DS name would be expense report library. I just added there slash DS name plus expense report library. Save. And let's also put a clear filter here. So you can just clear that out and it should query, right? Okay, click on save and let's update the template. Okay, let's just waiting for it to reopen and try sorting. So there we go.
That's
It's been
awesome.
sorted.
Cool. Okay, great. Well, this is wonderful. Let me just quickly go back to our slides here. I hope everyone is not completely asleep yet. Don is completely caffeinated, so it wouldn't be his fault. I am still kind of wondering if my brain is active or not, but we will see here in a second as I present again. We're going to demo the Forms Designer stuff at the end too. Don was adding the making the changes in Input Path Designer, which we obviously still have backward compatibility for. So you can see how easy it is to add that UI component, and that's the easy part. So there's the good news and the bad news here. The good news is that adding that hover over technique with sorting is pretty simple, but configuring the filter log is not. Don, you want to talk a little bit about how you do the composite? I mean, there's two techniques, right? There's let's use Sharepoint as our backend data store, and then there's technique advanced, which is let's use SQL. And the difference between the two is where the data is being stored and the protocol, the query mechanism that you're using to actually filter it, query it. And with Sharepoint, it's REST. It's I forget what REST acronym stands for, but there's a REST, capital R-E-S-T is the protocol, and it allows you to do advanced filtering with ands and ors and things like that. In fact, I think we have a demo of that. I just showed actually the first demo has that advanced filtering, and that's using Sharepoint. So Don, can you talk a little bit about how you did that? And let's just go back to that original demo here with this. You saw that I had done all this anding here and oring. Actually, I guess it's an or. Actually, it's an and, right? So this one's an and.
It's an and.
Those are ands there. And if I remove one, it's going to just show my stuff. That's cool. So that's actually an or, right?
Oh, that's actually right. That's
okay.
An or.
But this one here is
an
and. So if I get this has less than, let's see here, if I let's say less than 30,000, then it should get rid of those two that are above 30,000. It did. Cool. So you can see that we're using an and there. And that's kind of tricky to configure with Sharepoint, right?
Yeah, you can actually with the regular Sharepoint query. You can with REST.
Right. So with REST, you're actually using that technique in from the input path days where you can change the REST query, right? Do you want to show them, like for this exact specific scenario, where that rule is and how you're configuring it? That might be kind of cool to quickly show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Let me just make you the presenter again. We'll talk about the SQL thing next, but just show them how you create that query in the input path designer.
Okay. So here we have the main data source. Okay, so what I'm using here are two tables, one parent and one child. So what you're seeing here, this section is going to contain the filter string. And if you go back to the form, expense report dashboard, am I still here? Can you hear me, Patrick?
Yep, you're still live. I can see your desktop folder. Did something happen?
My PC crashed.
Your PC crashed. Okay, well I'll take control again here. I hate it when that happens. Okay, so what Don was going to show is how to create these REST queries, and in this might be a good segue for us, but for REST queries, you've got you got to build up a string. So basically, with Sharepoint, everything is passed on the Sharepoint URLs at the top here. And when you're querying something as well, you have to do the same thing. You have to actually query REST with this humongous URL. So it's going to have your site, your server name, your site, and so on and so on and so on. And then instead of this URL at the top here, it's going to have like a filter at the end of it that says, give me everything that has a total that is greater than 100 and less than 3,000, so 30,000. So it's got like a bunch of things in the URL. They're telling the REST query how to restrict it, but it's actually querying the data from a Sharepoint list or library. And the challenge there is that, even if you go above 5,000, so long as the list or library is indexed, you should not have a problem. But but there's some problems because SharePoint doesn't do a good job of allowing you to query like humongous amount of data. And there's two issues with it. One is that sometimes they'll just refuse to let you do it if you're trying to use like a regular non-REST list query and your list is more than 5,000, it'll just say forget it. If you're using,
if you expand Patrick,
yeah,
the debug section, you can show it from there.
Awesome. So you're saying down below here, I can just scroll down and get it.
Scroll up a bit.
Scroll up.
See these section over here, at the middle.
Yep.
This is the parent and child section. So the child section is what we are using for the query, and for the parent section, that's the one building the strings. So you can see here
the items child.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is the actual REST string, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
this
is what it is at the top. This is when you create the whole thing. That's what it looks like, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're tacking this on to the, I guess it's right here, right? This change connection URL, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's great, Don. Thanks for showing me that. Let me just bring this Notepad here to show people what this looks like. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. So yeah, this is the REST query that Don is creating on the fly, and the form is actually. And you can see here that anytime you have this this API web list, this is kind of how the REST thing begins. And then then you've got your title query. Okay, I want to get everything from the expense report library, and I only want the items where the top, the top 5,000. So it's going to be limited to 5,000. Don, why do we set that? What's the limit in REST when you've got a lot of data? Is that the limit?
If we go over that,
but if the filter reduces the size of the items,
I mean, if we don't use that, it's going to return an error.
Okay, even if we have the filter?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the limit here with REST. And I believe the SharePoint list and library stuff is the same way. So if you have a lot of data, you want to use the second approach, which is SQL. And that's the last demo that we have. And I want to thank Joe, if he's on the call, for the inspiration for this, because this is, we basically took this form we're creating for you and we put our logo on the top for the demo purposes. We wanted to be careful and discreet, as they say. But you can see here, this has actually got 74,000 items. It's got a ton of data. It's querying a database. And in this case, let me do the same thing, Don, because I think we can look at the debug and see how we're doing this as well, right? Maybe not. Do we have any quotes that are greater than 10? We do. Do we have any quotes that are less than 2,000? Let's just say less than 1,500. That should. Okay. So you can see here, we've got a ton of data in here, but we're only getting 14 back when we restrict the quote. If we clear the filter, we actually only have 250. So it's not a ton of data, but this is querying from SQL. If I take a look at the debug down below, we have a SQL database stored in a Windows Azure service, and we have this debug data down below, and you can see here that in this case we're creating a query XML. So as opposed to the REST from SharePoint, which looks like a URL, when we query SQL, we actually can send XML to the web service, and that gives us a lot more power because it's fast. We can do more than 5,000, and it's not as hard to create these filters. Like with REST, it's really hard to concatenate everything, right, Don? It's just a...
Yes, correct. Okay. And we have the query DB or query builder to help us out.
Actually, we should give me a link to that so I can show them that, because I think that's a really great point here. We'll get to that slide in a second. So we're just going to wrap up here, but essentially, when you're configuring these filter logs, there's two ways to do it. There's this REST, there's the SQL. There's some benefits, pros and cons to each. In the SQL case, it's more scalable. It's easier to create the queries using the Excel builder, and that is the last demo here is to show you that. And then actually we're going to show forms design at the end. So Don, maybe your computer is still dead, but where do I go to get that? I just go to the Do you have a link to the query builder? You there, Don? Okay, we lost Don. Or he's muted.
I just sent a link.
Oh, you sent a link. Okay, where did you put it? Did you put it in Teams?
Teams.
Cool, thanks. Okay, let's take a look at this, because this is actually, I gotta sign in. Oh, I forget how to sign into this thing. I shouldn't forget. I should just do it. But
I just gave you the password.
okay, thanks. Oh,
Credentials.
no, don't type that in. Oh no, I typed in the password. Now everyone's gonna have access. Oh my god, that's terrible. We're gonna have to scrub the video. I thought you were more caffeinated than that.
Sorry.
Let me just copy that in and show people this, that we're going to have to change that password there, or at least delete it from the video. But let's take a look at this. So this is the query builder. So in the database accelerator, and Misty, if you're still on the call, this would be something that you might not have seen before, but you can actually click on this query builder tab, and you can create these queries using this UI. So we actually have built in an easy way to build up these queries. And I don't know, Don, is your machine, can you show a query that you built?
Yeah, sure.
Because it seems like your machine died, but not completely, eh? So why don't you just show this screen here that I just showed with maybe a little more data in it, if you still have it open. Awesome. Oh, wait,
Okay.
you don't have it.
Here, okay. So let's just create one here. And
So you're inserting your columns that you want to filter on. Okay, that's cool. And then you add your query strings, or it just builds them down below. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so it's just automatically giving the ability to add those ands and ors and build those query XML. So it's not, you don't have to type in the XML, right?
mm-hmm.
Awesome. So that's one of the other benefits of the SQL approach. Yes, yes, Shane, you have complete access. If you act quickly in the next few minutes, you will be able to bring down all. Just kidding. It's just our test server, so it's not the end of the world. We don't store anything of. Actually, yeah, maybe it is bad. I don't know. I'm just thinking it. So we want to change that password real quick, Don. I'm just kidding, because Shane is an evil source of. I'm just kidding. Shane's a good source of humanity. In this world that we live in today, which is bonkers, for lack of a better word. Thanks, Don. That was great. I'm going to switch back to my screen because we got to wrap this up. But yeah, so that's the other benefit of using the SQL approach is you've got the VBSQL Query Builder, which we built many years ago. So if you have questions, this is a great time. While you're asking that question, I'm going to switch to show you the latest Forms Designer. We were working really hard for years to build this replacement for InfoPath Designer out. And I want to just show you this really cool progress update. You can see here, I can just get rid of my go-to webinar screen, but you can see that we are going to be doing our training at the end of this month on all the new Forms Designer stuff that we've added, plus the new webinar stuff that we're doing. I don't know if this webinar content is going to make it in. It might. The hover over stuff is pretty cool. But just to show you, here's a form. Here's our expense report form. And if I click on a field, it's kind of cool because it automatically switches to it shows us, just like InfoPath did, which field on the right is in the data source is bound to that field in the view. So we have the view on the left, just like InfoPath Designer, and we have the data source on the right. And if I click through them, it is automatically selecting it. And I can click on rules, and you can see that there's this really new feature that Jimmy added, which is called formatting rules, right? Conditional formatting, which is really what you want. And there's some really nice things here that he's done to add formatting. And I think it's highlighted blank. So it's this ability to just click on these check boxes to hide the control. Disable it. That's very similar to the InfoPath Designer. But then you can do, the formatting and all that stuff. Change the color, whatever. We're getting closer to liftoff here for the Forms Designer 1.0, and this is really dark. Okay, So I'm just gonna, it's italic, and see if this actually works here. If it's missing, mandatory missing is true. I think we should just, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but if it's blank, it should give us, let's just always do it. So we can insert a field or group now too. And I'm just going to use that last condition, not the first one. So we've been busy, not just the conditional formatting. We've got a lot of new features that we're going to show you in the training at the end of this month, but let me just see if this worked. And it didn't. Failed the connection. It's just filling the queries, but let's see if the form actually opens. So there's some data connection issues with this. This is a debug version of Forms Designer, so it doesn't have access to our internal list, but we should still see that formatting come up. There it is. But if I select something, it's done. So once again, if it's blank, we get the purple. Otherwise, it's not. So that's a quick show and tell of some of the cool work that Jimmy's been working on. Really appreciate you guys being here. Do we have any questions from the audience? I don't think we do. You guys are boring today. But thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And thanks for those earlier questions, Misty. Once again, we are committed to helping you build really cool, rich forms for SharePoint. We're not talking about the simple out-of-the-box stuff here. You can use the full power of InfoPath to create rich forms, document-centric forms, have repeating data in them. You can use Qdabra forms to extend them, to use cool pop-up, hover over filters like you saw in today's webinar. Qdabra forms is not just a forms editor. You can also build dashboards. And thanks so much, Misty, for that comment. We really appreciate you guys being here. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. We'll have a quick question here, a couple questions at the end, and then we'll send out the package later today. Have a great one. Watch out for those crazy people out there that are trying to get you infected with strange viruses. They're not good. Stay away from them. Wear a mask. Take care. Thanks, Don. You're awesome. See you later,
everyone. Thanks, Patrick.